A bit of news, local and international. My comments. New York Times reporters have been subpoenaed for a story about Air Force One, the plane gifted from the Middle East, apparently for publicly known information. That is, the lack of security systems on the new aircraft. In a year, they weren't able to put all the bells and whistles in it as appropriate for a possibly command center for World War III, otherwise known as Armageddon. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was killed in Houston by ICE. An extensive reporting from the NYT tries to understand how this came about. ICE says they were not looking for him. Money's been raised online for the victim's family. They've been in the country, I don't know, 30 some odd years. He was illegal. Trump has been posting criticism of ethnic Somali children for wearing the hijab. He's denigrated and demeaned Minnesota's Somali community in a series of xenophobic tirades. He has disparaged Somali immigrants as garbage who should go back to where they came from. Racism and xenophobia is in style. Ticks are in the news. They never went away, really. And this was according to a story in the Times. Between 2019 and 2022, over 184,000 tick-borne disease cases were reported to the CDC. Around 76% were Lyme disease. And apparently I made the news by getting Lyme in 2019 up in Maine. So I'm in that statistic of 184,000. I didn't think it was an honor at the time, but amoxicillin knocks it out pretty quick. I think that was the antibiotic. A vaccine is in the works for Lyme, but it's not quite ready. Barcelona's government says enough tourism. In fact, the Commissioner for Sustainable Tourism says not one tourist more. This was 16 million visitors a year. The citizens are squeezed out of housing and crowded in the markets. I remember a very different Barcelona in 1975 when I was 21 years old. I was doing paintings and selling them in one of the parks in Barcelona, financing a very cheap vacation from Germany. I was 21 years old, which is a good age for that, and living with low rent and getting great food for not very much money. But all of this changed now. You cannot find... The story says that people are considering a vacation in Barcelona as tourists are giving it up because they cannot find accommodation. Anything that human beings do apparently can reach an extreme where it just doesn't make sense anymore. Closer to home, we had a visit from students from Cuenca, from one of the universities. They came by Charlitos for something to eat and an experience meeting gringos, practicing their English where they need to do that, and just experiencing a little bit of foreign culture. Sort of like going to Chinatown in New York to get some food and gawk at the locals. The professor takes them for an outing every once in a while. The young art student from Chicago, she was bilingual perfectly. One of those kids from Mexico who knows both languages very well. A couple of students from the coast, from Machala. That's where the bananas say goodbye to their native country on the way to destinations all over the world. Ecuador, I think, is the chief banana exporter in the world, although Panama and Nicaragua sometimes have that reputation, but I believe it's Ecuador. And the president of the country, a U.S. citizen by birth, at least for now anyway, until Trump revokes that, Noboa, his family is big in the banana business. I think they're the biggest in that business. Well, that's a look at the news, and even closer, right here in the apartment, I am building a rig so that I can do paintings and record the process of painting. make something interesting. I tried out some of YouTube's free music the other night, and they've got some interesting ambient stuff, space music, ASMR, that sort of thing. So we'll try a combination of paint landing on wet watercolor paper and interesting ambient music. Until then, I want you all to have a good day, and we'll see you later. Ciao.